Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Time. Kevin D. joined on the phone for our regular visit from Dr. Aimee Duffy with Carolina Integrative Medicine. And we are so pleased to have you back on the show. She's getting excited. She's going on a trip. So we'll talk about that and some tips for a healthy gut. How you doing, Dr. Duffy? Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Kevin. I'm doing fantastic. Awesome to be here.
Now, it is Memorial Day weekend. It's awesome to have you, by the way. And it's Memorial Day weekend coming up, and a lot of folks going to be, doing the barbecue things, looking out on the grill, some burgers and some hot dogs and some slaw, and then that gut is going to, it's going to regret it later, that acid reflux and the heartburn and all the things that go along with overeating at the holidays in the summertime. Oh, my goodness. What kind of tips do you have for us? May 29th. Dr. Duffy, I was looking at the calendar here. It's not just Memorial Day, it's World Digestive Day. Not bad.
Yeah, who'd have thought we celebrate World Digestive Day, but it's another opportunity to talk about gut health and how our guts work and how important they are for our overall health. And I think it's interesting to me, but this is something I do all the time, and that people don't realize how much their gut plays a role in how they feel. Obviously, if somebody is dealing with those symptoms, like you're talking about reflux or, bloating or some, bowel issues, whether they're going too much or they're not going enough, pain, that sort of thing is certainly an obvious something's wrong with my gut, but we don't realize how there's a significant gut-brain connection. So when somebody's having my brain's not working, brain fog, lack of concentration, mood disorders like anxiety and depression are often related to serotonin, and serotonin, is very apparent in the gut. So I think it's really important when we're talking about overall health in general to make sure that we're addressing the gut, and that's a huge part of what we do in our practice with our patients is talk a lot about gut health. But I wanted to just be able to have some tips about easy things. We can talk about what to eat, what not to eat, that kind of stuff, but really coming down to are we being intentional about our food, intentional about our choices and that kind of thing. So I did kind of the who, what, when, where, why, how, tips for having a healthy gut.
Well, let's look at those tips. Let's talk about, we'll just start with the who. Eating a meal, of course, with family or friends, it can have a positive impact on your gut health. That promotes a relaxed and enjoyable atmosphere, and that, I think, can help stimulate proper digestion, right?
100%. So, there's definitely some studies there with, that positive happy dopamine neurotransmitter that happens when you're around people that you love and that make you happy. Then when your gut's in a happy place, obviously the opposite, a lot of people have an issue if they're having a lot of stress, anxiety, they almost feel nauseous or they have a lack of appetite. I'm too stressed, I can't eat, and that sort of slows your digestive down. So,
and that brings up another point. Eating with loved ones can reduce stress levels, but sometimes eating with family can increase stress levels.
Right. So it's kind of like, we want to pick the people that make us the happiest, right? And we can't always do that. I know that's around the holidays and stuff that ends up being a lot of stress of, who's going to be at the table. But, the more that you can choose to be around people that make a positive impact in your life, and trying the best we can to minimize stress, because that definitely is going to put an impact on multiple things. I mean, there's studies that show that chronic stress impacts the balance of the gut bacteria, what we call our flora, in our digestive system, and that is all about how we digest and break down our food. So there's all kinds of connections that dig deeper than just what do I eat, kind of conversation.
And talking about stress, I mean, I have actually in my life experienced stress to the point that it affected my gut health as well. I mean, I can remember I was in my back in my college days. And of course, it was exams time, and stressed out. 2 weeks, Dr. Duffy. No movement. 2 weeks. Do you know what kind of pain that was?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Again,
Go ahead.
everything shuts down when you get into stress mode. The opposite of so the fight or flight, right? Everybody knows the fight or flight kind of, we call that the sympathetic. We've talked about that before. So the opposite of that is parasympathetic, and that's rest, digest, and recover. So if you're living up high in your sympathetic, you're not resting and you're not digesting, and everything slows down and stops, because when you're running from the tiger that's chasing you, the last thing you need to be doing is stopping and going to the bathroom. So
Right.
that signal, that signal to your brain is turned off basically when you're under a lot of stress. Now, then we have the opposite, which is a lot of people do stress eating, right? So when they're stressed out, and we're not talking about, acutely stressed being chased by a tiger, but like just stress in general, they get their dopamine hits from eating, ice cream on the couch, or eating more French fries, or that comfort food. And of course, that leads us to the what portion, right? So when we're if we're already stressed and our gut's already messed up, and then we turn around and eat foods that are, make it really hard for our digestive system to work, or hard for our bodies to manage, because there's a lot of chemicals. Our brain goes, what is this thing? I have to figure out what it is. Is it going to harm me? First do no harm is our body's job to make sure that we're not being poisoned, right? So it's got to take some extra work to figure out, is this something that I have to deal with? So, we know we have foods that are commonly inflammatory, like gluten, dairy, sugar. Of course, our body has to figure out what to do with. We were not designed to eat as much sugar as we do, especially drinking sugar, through sodas and our fancy caramel macchiato coffees, that kind of stuff. So so there's foods that we want to avoid as much as we can. And again, when you're in stress mode, you may just be, instinctively going towards the foods that are actually going to create more stress in your system. So being conscious of that is big. And then the opposite is, what do we eat, which is making sure, we've heard the story about eating the rainbow, right? So when we eat a rainbow and we're getting food from a lot of different sources, that's going to benefit, again, that gut microbiome. It's going to, support fiber, which is going to help your digestive system move more. So definitely there's a benefit. And of course, getting nutrition from our rainbow is really important as well.
Absolutely, Dr. Duffy. And of course, that'll bring us to the why. Why can't I chug a 2 liter of Mountain Dew in 20 minutes? Why? Is that
why? Yeah.
A form of poison? Yeah.
100%,
And it can be.
And I think people don't realize that. Like I said, I mean, if we're putting chemicals into our body all the time, you may not have an acute response to it, but your body is having to deal with that and figure out how to protect you from that. So we're basically poisoning ourselves on a very slow basis by eating foods that are not nutrient rich, and foods that are full of chemicals and fake things, basically. So yeah, there's a great quote that says food can either be the safest form of medicine, or it can be the slowest form of poison. So if we're eating those foods that are nutrient rich, those nutrients are going towards helping our body heal and recover. But if we follow it up with something that our body has to work hard to manage, then it's going to cause more damage than it is good. And so why do we eat? What's the purpose of eating in the first place? Is, food is our fuel. It's got to be there to help support us. We don't put bad gas in our car and expect our car to, function at high level. So why do we put bad gas in our mouths and expect us to function at high level? So when my kids were in Montessori school, preschool age, they had this lesson, or this quote, that food can either be slow food, grow food, or glow food. And so they helped kids to learn, if they're going to go look for a donut, that's going to be something that actually slows their body down. Grow food is more the proteins, the cheese and the meats and things like that. And glow food is your veggies. These are going to make your skin glow and, your body kind of feel good. So I always like that.
Taught us that. Yeah,
I know, because it's a great way, not just for kids to understand, but for people to understand too. I think you need to take a breath, when you're getting ready to sit down and eat, and you look at this food you're about to put in front of you and say, is this going to be something that is going to fuel me, or is this going to be something that's going to slow me down?
Yeah, exactly. We're talking to Dr. Aimee Duffy with Carolina Integrative Medicine today. She is the author, by the way, of the bestseller, Normal Doesn't Have Side Effects,
Yeah.
a prescription for optimal health. You can download the book now online at aimeeduffymd.com, or I guess pick it up wherever books are sold. Clemson Integrative Medicine, by the way, has offices in Clemson. 1011 Tiger Boulevard, Suite 300, and their phone number is 864-722-9262, CarolinaIntegrativeMedicine.com. Talking about tips for a healthy gut as we get ready to celebrate not only Memorial Day on Monday, but also World Digestive Day. Now, Dr. Duffy, we've talked about the who, what, and the why. Let's get the when, where, and how for our listeners today. A lot of people talk about, especially, we just came off a Lent and Easter about a month or so ago. A lot of people did some fasting. Yeah. But we're not talking about that kind. We're talking about intermittent fasting, and it's not for everyone. Not everybody can go without food for days and days and days. So you might want to start small. We've talked about fasting in the past on the show.
We have.
And you've given some great tips on how to, start slow, start small, and just kind of work your way up. So talk a little about that, because when you do it right, it can have a lot of great benefits for your gut and gut health, right?
So in the past, we've talked about intermittent fasting in terms of overall health, whether it's weight loss, pre-diabetes or diabetes, blood sugar, cholesterol, blood pressure. I mean, there's great benefits for intermittent fasting for overall health. But today I wanted to bring in specifically some interesting studies that talk about intermittent fasting promoting the healthier gut microbiome and increasing diversity, because those fasting periods allow the gut bacteria to kind of reset and grow. So if we're eating more frequently, we tend to move those bacteria through faster, where if we're having moments of fasting, then it's going to allow the gut bacteria to kind of sit and do its job. And that's a positive thing. The other thing that happens when we fast, there's this fancy term called autophagy, which is the body's ability to kind of kill off the bad guys. And the more fasting that we have, the more autophagy happens. And that's a self-cleaning, if you want to call it, mechanism. So it gets rid of damaged cells or damaged proteins or chemicals and things like that. So the more you fast, the cleaner your gut is. So intermittent fasting can be really helpful. And again, you're correct. If you're diabetic, have some blood sugar issues, going a whole day with not eating may lead to some symptoms, but you can start slow. You can do what we call a 16-8 fast, where you just eat during an 8-hour window. So maybe you start at noon and eat till 8 p.m. So you're getting lunch and dinner, and then you go to sleep, and then you don't eat again until noon the next day. So you're getting most of your fasting through while you're sleeping, which makes it super easy. And that's a great way to start some fasting.
Unless you're like me, I went through a period of where I would sleepwalk to the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another issue. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole nother show right there.
Yep.
So, Dr. Duffy, where? Talk about the where. I
right.
mean, a lot of people, your gut health can go into just complete oblivion if you're sitting on the couch all day long.
Yeah, I mean, sitting on the couch, and this goes back to the who as well. If you can dedicate your meal times, we're all probably guilty of eating our lunch sitting in front of our computer. I got to get something done, and we don't take a step back. Drive-through, is probably from multiple perspectives. Drive-through food is, a vein of our existence, but it's not only is it probably not nutritionally savvy, but we're driving, so we're not even focused on what we're eating or when we're, how we're eating. We're just, shoving the food in while we're trying to pay attention to the road. Right. So, eating on the run basically is not the best thing to do. So where we eat, let's pay attention to that in terms of, can we sit down at a table? Standing up actually is not necessarily a bad thing, but we just don't want to be on the run. So we want to pause, make an intentional, time to say, this is food time and I'm going to eat. So
that goes back to what you were saying at the top of the show, whenever you were talking about stress and eating and how having a more relaxed atmosphere can help stimulate that proper digestion.
Right.
Because if you're in bumper to bumper traffic and there's road rage going on all around you and you're shoving a bacon cheeseburger down your gullet.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, while you're sitting, you know what I'm saying? It's like
no wonder you have heartburn and you feel bad afterwards, right? I mean, it's just,
exactly.
Your body thinks you're being chased by a lion, yet you're putting food in there, and it doesn't match. It doesn't correlate with what your innate brain, your caveman brain says is happening. So, we definitely want to try to help support, again, that parasympathetic by choosing where we eat to be a less stressful place, for sure.
Yeah, and you just said a word that caught my ear: parasympathetic.
Yep.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So that's the opposite.
The
yeah.
Parasympathetic nervous system.
So the fight or flight, like I was saying, that fight or flight response is what we call the sympathetic nervous systems. So we're running from stress, and in that sense, we don't stop to eat, we don't stop to go to the bathroom. If we get hurt, we're going to try to limp through it. You can't stop to check out whether your foot's broken or not. You got to just keep running if this tiger's chasing you, right? So that's sympathetic.
Okay, yeah.
The opposite of that is parasympathetic, which is rest, digest, and recover. So again, going back to the lack of stress is going to help us digest better. So that's why a lot of people will eat and then rest afterwards, right? Because that is allowing us. That's why we tell our kids not to jump in the pool right after they eat, because you want a moment for your body to be able to kind of digest your food. So, that leads us into the how, which is our last one. How do we eat? And it's kind of some, putting all this stuff together. I mean, this could be in any category really, but can we be more intentional? Can you pause? A lot of people might start their meal with a prayer, and whether you're religious or not, prayer and a pause before you're getting ready to eat just, sets the intention that this is mealtime. We may, have conversation and whatnot, but it should be how we eat, and so let's chew our food. That's another thought process is, we're sitting there inhaling big, huge chunks, and, it's going to take more work for our body to digest. So can you, make sure that we're chewing our food? Can you slow it down? Can you eat over a longer period of time as we have time, that sort of thing. So going back to that calm, taking more time and getting us into that parasympathetic nervous system so that we're going to be better able to digest our food appropriately.
Absolutely. Dr. Aimee Duffy with Carolina Integrative Medicine. Dr. Duffy, of course, you've got a little bit of great advice that always goes a long way, and that, of course, is get lots of rest, stay hydrated, manage your stress, and get plenty of exercise.
100%. I mean, all of that combines together. You can't have good health without those things, but you can't have good health and eat cheeseburgers and French fries on the run all day either. So, we've got to be, when we're looking for how to be healthy. I know we all wish we had, the magic wand that will let us have our cake and eat it too, but it takes work. That's what I try to tell people all the time is that, you look at somebody who's an elite athlete, they're working all the time to be in that position. So if you want to be an elite, optimal health person, then, it's not easy. And we try to make it as easy as possible for people to understand the why, and using these tips to kind of go, I didn't think about that, that kind of thing. But, it's not easy, and it's great. One of the things that we really want to do is be that mentor, that coach for somebody, because we're a traditional kind of lay person, if you want to call it. We don't know everything about how to be healthy. Yeah. You try to read and figure it out, but, not everybody knows how to play football or basketball. You got to have a coach that helps you to, get out there and try to play. So it can be frustrating because the first time you try, you may not do so well. And then you think, well, that doesn't work for me, but it may be we were doing it wrong. And we just need one little tweak, and things will be working the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Duffy, I misspoke at the top of the show. I said that you were getting ready for your trip. You're back from your trip.
We just got back. Yeah.
You just got back.
We were just there
for another one in August.
In October. It's going to be October 23rd.
October, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm just all over the place today, aren't I?
No worries. Yeah, we just had an amazing health and wellness retreat in Acapulco last week. We were there Sunday to Sunday. A great opportunity to practice some of these things. So we have amazing food that is not only healthy food, but fabulous tasting. We have,
I'm looking at the website, AimeeDuffyMD.com,
Yep.
on the link, Luxury and Wellness Retreat, and there's this just guy, he looks so happy, and he's handed me this orange drink, and it looks like it might have something really good in it, like, I don't know.
That's a mango. Yeah, that's a mango margarita. So we literally had mangoes falling off the trees while we were there this week. And so, I mean, you can't get more fresh than that. They're taking that mango there. You know, this was a margarita, but it could be a smoothie. It can be whatever you want it to be, a daiquiri. If you're not a tequila person, that's my beverage of choice. So, you know, even in indulging. So this is not one of those, I don't know the word for it. I mean, those retreats where you go and you don't get, you know, you're eating rabbit food and you don't have a good time because it's not fun. You know, we try to incorporate the fun. We worked out every day. We did yoga and meditation. We had some massages in room. We had energy work sessions. We went swimming in the ocean, and then we just had the most amazing food prepared by a personal chef that's there. So whatever your food needs or preferences are, they know exactly what your needs are. Some people didn't eat shellfish or pork. I don't like tomatoes. I don't do dairy. Whatever the case is, they can customize it to what your needs are. And it's just an opportunity to just take a step back from everyday life, live in that moment of what it means to be optimally healthy. And then, you know, we're always trying to educate, how can we bring Acapulco back home? So what are the things that we can do, you know, back here that we can try to incorporate into our everyday crazy life?
Do you still have slots available for your next trip in October?
We do. We're just
came on this trip in May. Are they going?
There's definitely some repeat customers for sure. So there are 15 spots total. And I know of at least 5 that are already taken. So, you know, we're not full yet, but definitely want to be planning ahead. One of the issues is your passport. So people will be all excited and then realize their passport's been expired. So this is a great time to make sure that your passport's ready to go, because it does take a couple of months to get that going. And so our goal is that we want to allow people to sign up and at least put a deposit down by July 1, so that we can, you know, make sure we get everybody's spot. So if it's something that you're interested in, definitely reach out so that we can get you on that list and get things ready to go. It's going to be a great time.
Absolutely. You can register online by going to AimeeDuffyMD.com. You can also check out CarolinaIntegrativeMedicine.com. Stop by their office at 1011 Tiger Boulevard, Suite 300 in Clemson. But make sure you give them a call first to make an appointment, maybe. 864-722-9262 is the phone number. And, of course, don't forget, Dr. Duffy is the best-selling author of one of the greatest books that you will ever read. Normal doesn't have side effects. The Prescription for Optimal Health is chock full of information that your body needs, that your brain's going to need to know for your body.
Yep.
You can download it now, AimeeDuffyMD.com.
It's ready to go. It's on
Coffee Time, Dr. Duffy.
Yeah, thank you so much. But I was just going to mention, my book is both, you can go to Amazon, it's on Kindle, as well as you can get it printed now. So you can get a hard copy if you want. And we'll be planning at some point, I don't have a date yet, but we're going to get a bunch of copies printed, and we'll do a book signing somewhere too. So we'll keep you posted on when that's going to be.
I want my signed copy.
You got it.
Awesome. Dr. Aimee Duffy with Carolina Integrative Medicine. Always great to have you on the show, and we look forward to our next conversation in June.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Take care.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.